Amidst the eerie emptiness, an old city stands lifeless. Once, its streets were filled with laughter and footsteps, but now only the whispers of the wind dance among the ruins. No one knows exactly why the city was abandoned, but dark stories of mysterious events have always haunted those who dare to approach. Strange sounds often echo, fleeting shadows move swiftly, and darkness engulfs every corner of the city swallowed by time. This is where the adventure begins, in a city that seems to breathe in silence, waiting for someone to uncover the secrets hidden within its ruins. And when that moment comes, no one can predict what they will find: mystery, fear, or perhaps something far darker than they could ever imagine.
The city of Arkham had been deserted for decades. Once a bustling industrial center, it had turned into a ghost town after an unexplained disaster. Most people didn't dare to enter the city, but for Alex, curiosity was stronger than fear. Alex, a young man in his mid-20s, had heard rumors about the city all his life. He was drawn to the stories about how the city had been abandoned overnight, and how strange things still happened there. He didn't believe in supernatural tales, but something about Arkham intrigued him. Maybe it was the thrill of exploring the unknown, or maybe it was the need to prove himself. One evening, he decided to make the trip. Armed with only a flashlight and a backpack, he ventured into the heart of the city. As Alex wandered through the crumbling streets, the silence was eerie. The buildings stood tall but lifeless, their windows broken and covered in grime. The air was thick with dust, and the only sound was the occasional rustling of the wind through the abandoned structures. After hours of exploring, Alex came across an old mansion at the edge of the city. It stood out, larger and more imposing than the others, with Gothic architecture and a massive iron gate. Despite its age, it seemed strangely preserved. Pushed the gate open and stepped inside, the creaking sound echoing through the empty yard. The mansion door was slightly ajar, as if inviting him in. He hesitated for a moment, then entered. Inside, the air was cooler. The house was dimly lit, with only the fading light from outside casting shadows on the walls. The interior was surprisingly well kept, as if someone, or something, was still living there. As Alex walked further in, he heard footsteps from behind him. His heart raced, and he turned around quickly, but no one was there. "Hello?" Alex called out, his voice trembling. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from the shadows, a man, pale and tall, with dark eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light.
"You shouldn't be here,"
the man said, his voice low and smooth. Alex took a step back, trying to steady his breath. "Who are you?"
"My name is Lucian,"
the man replied.
"and this is my city now."
Alex's mind raced. He had heard about the strange inhabitants of Arkham, but he never expected to meet one. "What do you mean, your city? No one lives here." Lucian smiled, revealing sharp, gleaming fangs. "Not quite no one." Alex's stomach dropped as realization hit him. "You're a vampire?" Lucian's smile faded.
"I prefer to think of myself as a guardian of this place. But yes, if you want to be blunt about it."
Alex took another step back, but Lucian was quick, moving in front of him in an instant.
"You can't leave."
Lucian said calmly.
"Not now that you know."
Panic set in, but Alex forced himself to stay calm. "I'm not a threat. I'll go. I'll never tell anyone." Lucian studied him for a moment, his dark eyes piercing into Alex's.
"It's not that simple. You see, once you've entered this city, it doesn't let you go."
"What do you mean?" Alex asked, his voice shaky.
The city has its own way of keeping secrets,
Lucian said.
and now, you're a part of it.
Alex felt a cold chill run down his spine.
There has to be a way out. Lucien's gaze softened slightly. Perhaps there is. But it comes with a price.
What price? Alex asked, desperation creeping into his voice.
You stay with me.
Lucian said.
For eternity.
Alex's heart pounded in his chest as Lucien's words echoed in the quiet mansion. For eternity. The thought chilled him to his core. The vampire stood before him, calm and unnervingly composed, as if this moment had happened countless times before. Alex swallowed hard, his mind racing for a way out. And if I refuse? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Lucian tilted his head, studying Alex with an unreadable expression.
Then the city will claim you in other ways. You've seen too much. This place is not just abandoned, it's a prison. For people like me, and now, people like you.
Alex backed up, his legs nearly giving way under him as he bumped into an old table. His flashlight flickered in his hand, the beam bouncing across the dusty walls. No, I'm not staying here. I'll find a way out. Lucian sighed softly, his gaze hardening.
You humans always think you can escape what you don't understand. But this city is alive in ways you can't even imagine. It has its own hunger, its own desires, and it's already decided your fate.
Alex shook his head. You're lying. I don't believe in any of this. There has to be a way. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from upstairs, causing Alex to jump. He aimed the flashlight toward the ceiling, his breathing growing more rapid. Something, or someone, was moving above them. Lucian didn't flinch.
It's starting,
He said quietly. What's starting? Alex demanded, his voice rising with panic.
The city doesn't just trap people.
Lucian explained.
It twists them. The longer you stay, the more it changes you. You won't leave here as you were.
The footsteps upstairs grew louder, heavier, as if something massive was stalking the upper floors. Alex felt the walls closing in around him. He had to get out. He wasn't going to become part of this nightmare. Please, Alex said, his voice trembling now. There has to be a way out. You said there's a price. What do you want from me? Lucien's eyes softened for a brief moment, and he stepped closer, almost as if in pity.
I was once like you know. Desperate, looking for answers in a city that had none. But I paid the price. You didn't answer my question.
Alex shouted, feeling the tension rise as the noise upstairs intensified. What do you want from me? Lucian looked at him for a long moment, the weight of centuries in his gaze.
Your loyalty. Stay with me, and I will teach you how to survive this place. Refuse, and the city will take you, body and soul. The air in the mansion grew colder, the creaking upstairs now accompanied by faint whispers.
Alex's mind spun, struggling to make sense of everything. The city was more than just abandoned, it was alive. And Lucian, he was offering Alex a choice, but it wasn't really a choice at all. I'll die if I stay, won't I? Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lucian shook his head.
Not if you stay with me. I can protect you from the worst of it, but only if you agree.
Alex could feel time slipping away. The footsteps were getting closer. Whatever was up there, it wasn't human anymore. I don't have a choice, do I? Alex asked, defeated. Lucian gave a small, sad smile.
There's always a choice, but some are harder to make. The whispers above became a low growl.
and Alex felt a sharp cold sweep through the room.
Whatever was coming, it was almost here.
Okay, Alex said finally, his voice barely steady. I'll stay. Just tell me what to do. Lucian nodded, his eyes dark and unreadable.
Good. The city may claim souls, but it won't take you. Not yet.
Suddenly, the room around them shuddered as if the building itself were alive. The whispers grew louder, angry now, as if they knew Alex had chosen to defy them. The footsteps stopped, and the door to the stairs creaked open. Lucian stepped forward, his eyes glowing faintly in the dim light.
It's not safe here anymore. We need to go deeper, into the heart of the city. That's where we'll be safe, for now.
Alex nodded, his body numb with fear. As Lucian led him toward the back of the mansion, the shadows seemed to shift, watching them. The city was awake now, and Alex knew it wouldn't let them rest. The mansion trembled as Lucian led Alex deeper into its shadowy halls. The air grew colder, and the eerie whispers of the city seemed to follow them. Alex's breath came out in ragged gasps, his mind racing to make sense of it all. Everything about this place felt wrong, like the city was alive, and it was watching them. Where are we going? Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper.
To the heart of Arkham, Lucian said.
His tone calm but urgent. There's a sanctuary beneath the city, a place where its influence can't reach us. But we have to move quickly. As they descended a set of stairs, Alex's flashlight flickered again, casting long, ominous shadows on the walls. The sound of something scraping across the floor echoed behind them, making Alex's heart race. He spun around, pointing the flashlight toward the noise, but there was nothing there, just the empty hallway. Is something following us? Alex asked, his voice trembling. Lucian glanced over his shoulder, his eyes narrowing. The city's sentinels. They protect the secrets of Arkham, and punish those who try to escape. A chill ran down Alex's spine. And what are they? Lucian didn't answer immediately. Instead, he kept walking, his long strides unhurried despite the growing tension.
They were once people, like you, he finally said. Explorers, wanderers, the curious. But the city twisted them, fed on their fears, until they became something else. Now, they're trapped between worlds, existing only to serve Arkham. The scraping sound grew louder, closer.
Alex felt a surge of panic. We need to run.
Lucian's hand shot out, gripping Alex's shoulder. No, if you run, they'll sense your fear. Walk calmly, show them you belong here.
Alex's legs shook, but he forced himself to keep pace with Lucian. The vampire's presence was the only thing keeping him from breaking into a full sprint. They reached the bottom of the stairs, and Lucian led him down a long, narrow corridor lit by faint, ghostly lights. The walls were lined with strange symbols, etched into the stone as if they had been carved by unseen hands. Suddenly, a figure stepped out of the darkness ahead of them. It was human-like, but its body was twisted and deformed, its skin pale and stretched tight over its bones. Its eyes were hollow, glowing faintly in the dim light. The creature let out a low, guttural growl, its long fingers twitching as it approached. Alex's heart leapt into his throat. What is that? He whispered, taking a step back. A sentinel, Lucian said calmly, stepping in front of Alex.
Stay behind me.
The creature lunged at them, but Lucian moved faster than Alex could register. In the blink of an eye, Lucian grabbed the sentinel by the throat and slammed it against the wall. The creature hissed and writhed, but Lucian's grip was like iron. You will not touch him, Lucian growled, his voice taking on a darker, more menacing tone. His eyes glowed brighter, and the creature let out a screech before dissolving into dust. Alex stared in disbelief. How did you?
There's no time to explain,
Lucian said, brushing the dust from his hands. The city will send more. We need to reach the sanctuary.